Gwen, reading aloud for you from my novel, The Heartbalm Effect, Book 1 in the Medicine Women of Alaska, Chapter 5. Rachel racked her brain, trying to figure out how she'd offended Dr. Livingston and how best to rectify the matter as he walked her into the third wing of the clinic. Her musings were interrupted as he stopped in a community room and gave a wry, self-deprecating flourish with his hand. And now we finish our grand tour with the oncology ward. She looked around the space. Oh, so the children are here along with the adults? Yes, they are. His eyes hooded over. We didn't get enough funding to build a separate oncology wing for the children. She gazed at the large community room, where the patients apparently liked to hang out and relax when they weren't otherwise receiving treatment. There, at an ingeniously designed craft table, sat a cherubic little boy, bald with big brown eyes. The child played with a wooden puzzle that appeared to have been handcrafted. Who donated such a lovely thing to the clinic, she wondered. An elderly woman reclined on a battered lazy boy armchair beside the child, reading a magazine. The recliner looked comfortable, and the woman basked in a beam of sunshine. Something nice to do for oneself while recovering from a chemotherapy treatment, she mused. Nothing wrong with the scene, aside from the fact that a frail, elderly woman sat next to a child in the oncology ward, and they were both patients. It might be more appropriate for the child to be on a ward with other children, and the little old lady on a ward with other little old ladies, but Rachel had a sneaking suspicion the little old lady liked being near the little guy. Children had a way of brightening everyone's life, even if they were ill. So everyone's all mixing together then, she said lightly, and then she wondered if she'd succeeded yet again in giving offense. Mercifully, though, Paul didn't appear to mind her comment. Yes, we've got a small facility, as you can see, but we make do with what we can. I do see, she said with approval, and then blurted out, I love it. I love the way this room looks. You've obviously put a lot of effort into how you placed this ward. What do you mean? You put it on this side of the building with a large picture window that catches the morning sunlight coming off the mountain. It makes the room look so fresh and inviting. So comfortable and pleasant. She'd visited many an oncology clinic in Nebraska on tours of hospitals with her dad, and she didn't understand why it seemed as if every effort had been made to ensure a patient's stay during treatment was in as ugly a setting as possible. Why did the poor cancer patients have to receive treatment in a setting designed to resemble a prison visitation room? She glanced back up at Dr. Livingston, and in that moment she began to see a flicker of hope in their working relationship. He gazed down at her, his brown eyes wide and full and welcoming. This man, she realized, couldn't fake his emotions. Not only did he approve of what she'd just said, but he embraced it as well. It struck her with the force of a thunderbolt. He loved this place. She knew the particulars, how he'd founded it, staffed it, and managed it with his now ex-wife. But she realized something she'd failed to recognize earlier. He adored this place. He simply adored it. This clinic was his lifeblood, his life's work. He'd invested everything he had into this clinic. She realized something else too. If this place failed, it'd kill something deep inside him. It'd kill his spirit. Rachel knew only one other man who'd ever been that committed to his work, and that'd been her dad, William Lavange, head of surgery at the University of Nebraska School of Medicine. Dad said he'd been drawn to the practice of medicine because he liked the idea of helping people. But as the years passed, and as he began to absorb everything concerning the practice of medicine into his heart, it became much more than a job to him. It became his life's calling. She hoped she, too, would find a hospital or a clinic where she'd become as emotionally invested into the practice of medicine as her dad had. And as much as Dr. Livingston had invested himself into this hardscrabble little clinic. She admired him for what he'd accomplished here. But it wasn't her life's calling to work here. She just knew this. She belonged at Mayo.